Hi guys, so following on from Ricky's guitar collection video, here is my bass collection video. I don't have as many basses as Ricky has guitars, but I'm going to start off and tell you a little bit about my very first bass. I've always loved the bass, but I didn't start playing until I was probably 19, 20, thereabouts, so it was the early 90s. And at the time, a few metal bass players were using Aria Pro 2 basses. So I decided that I was going to get a bass. And back then we didn't have the internet at home. So I looked in, it was a guitar magazine, and there was an advert from the Flying Pig, the online, well, kind of telesales company, I guess it would be, because we didn't have online at home. And I saw an advert for a bass that was, God, I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it was about 270, something like that. It was quite a lot of money for me at the time, and I really loved this particular bass, and I wanted it in black. As a metalhead, it had to be black. All my clothes are black, everything black. When I phoned up to order it, they told me that the black was out of stock and wasn't going to be back in for 7 weeks. And I was gutted because I'd kind of got my hopes up that I was going to get this bass. And he said, we have a pink one. And I was like, nope, I hate pink. Pink's not me at all. I've never liked pink. And he said, no, trust me, it's a really nice pink. I think you'll like it. And it's got black hardware. So I ordered it. And when I opened it, I fell in love with it. So this is the bass. It's got that real pointy kind of 80s metal headstock. So this is, I've written down the names of these so I get it right. So this is the Aria Pro 2 SLB bass. So it's got that awesome pointed headstock. I can barely reach the tuning pegs on this when I'm playing it. So when I got it, it didn't have stickers on. Now when it arrived, it was this sort of pastel metallic pink. And with the black, I thought that is gorgeous. That was a kind of pink I could be on board with. Unfortunately, over time, that has oxidized. You can see the difference. It goes from pink through to this really not particularly nice orange colour. And part of me wants to strip this back and refinish it again, but then it won't be my original bass. So to try and disguise the horrendous colour, I put these clear stickers on, and I know that people are going to hate me for that, but they're on there. I like it. So this was my only bass for a really long time. I got this early 90s, and up until about, I think it was 2017, 18, I joined 2 bands for the first time, and I've been doing quite a lot with this bass. I recorded the first couple of songs that I ever played on were played on this bass, and I played live a couple of times with it, but I was having issues with the setup. My bass teacher at the time, he was doing all my kind of setup and restringing for me and doing all the servicing and whatnot, and he basically took this off me one time and let me borrow his Warwick, and I was kind of like, okay, now I get that the sound on this bass is probably letting me down a little bit. Through my Trace Elliott bass amp, this sounds sick. It's really good. But most of what we were doing with the band then was just going through the PA and not really lugging amps around because we all had spine problems, and it just wasn't really doing it. But it's still lovely to play. I really like it to play. I re-oiled this recently. It was like last summer I bought some stuff from Whispersmith Guitars, and it's really brought that fretboard alive. But I love this bass. It was my first one. I just think it's gorgeous, and I don't love the colour that it's oxidised to, but for pink it was a really nice looking bass, and it did me well for a long time. So I have a really soft spot for this bass, and I can't decide whether to put stainless steel strings on it so that I've got that gnarly sound when I want it, or whether to put flats on here so I've got a more vintage sound when I want it. Putting flats on something so metal kind of feels really weird, but I do really like this bass, and I'm very sentimentally attached to this bass. So as much as I'd like to sand it back and do my own custom paint design on it, I know I never will. I know I'll never upgrade the pickups, because if I change anything on it, it won't be my first bass anymore. So I do love it. I don't play it very often, but when I do get it out and play it, I'm reminded how much I like it. And I've got a nice kind of skull guitar strap on there as well to fit in with the metal scene. So that was my very first bass, and I didn't get another one until around about 2017. So it would have been 2016, 17, I think. I can't remember. I should remember because we'd been to see Green Day at Hyde Park, and going to see a gig always kind of revitalises me and makes me want to practice more. And I'd borrowed my bass teacher's Warwick, realised that I needed to get myself another bass, but I just didn't know what to get, didn't have a huge budget. So I was just kind of looking on eBay, not really intending to get anything. On the coach back from the Green Day gig, I went on eBay and there were two basses that I really liked. One was a Warwick rock bass and the other was this one. And I couldn't put my finger exactly on what it was that was drawing me to this one above the Warwick. I kind of wish I had bought the Warwick in some ways, but in other ways not. This bass has more kind of flexibility in terms of sound, and I was playing in a folk band and a covers band and an originals band at the time, and I felt that would give me a bit more flexibility with regards to sound. So I went for this one. This is a Jackson JS3 concert active bass. The Aria was an active as well. I love Jackson guitars. I loved Def Leppard growing up, and Phil Collen always used Jackson guitars, so I was very familiar with them as a guitar brand. Didn't know that they made basses, and they do, and people actually quite rate them. Now, interestingly, I didn't realise until I put this on a stand next to my pink one that I basically bought another Aria Pro 2 in black, which is the bass that I actually wanted in the 90s. So I'd essentially bought my dream bass from the 1990s in the 20 teens because I basically fell in love with this one. So it does give you a wide range of sounds. It is gorgeous to play. Sound-wise, definitely a big improvement on the Aria. I've done so many gigs with this bass, with an amp and through PA. It's been great. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's quite heavy. It does feel kind of weightier than another bass that I bought recently, even though they weigh the same on the scales. The balance of it just feels different. But this, when I got this for 160 quid. And when you buy something off eBay, you know that there's a risk that you don't know what you're getting. When it arrived, it was pristine. I basically bought a brand new bass for 160 quid. You can see now that I've worn through the top layer of the lacquer. I've played this so much, and it's got buckle marks on the back, but it's great. This bass, again, it's the dream bass from the 90s, even though I didn't get it until more recently, and with these strings that have got the blue ends on, gorgeous. So yeah, this bass, I really should have polished this better. It's filthy. So yeah, I really love this bass. I've done so much with it. It's got the EQ on it, so you can kind of have a real variety of sounds. It's got the two pickups on there, so I do really like it. And also, my maiden name is Jackson, so a friend of mine has got a Cricut vinyl cutting machine, and she's going to actually make me a decal of Mary, so I can put Mary Jackson on it, even though I'm not Jackson anymore. So yeah, I had to have it. I had my name on it. Okay, given how metal my first two basses are, this might come as a bit of a surprise, but this is my Ibanez acoustic. This has a really long name, so bear with me. It's the PCBE12MH-OPN. Now, I was in a folk band, as I said, an originals folk band, and kind of playing various things, having that kind of more acoustic sound I thought would work really well. So I've been thinking about an acoustic bass for quite a while and thinking, should I, shouldn't I? I'd never played one, I didn't know if I'd like it. And rather than actually go into a music shop and try one, I mean, you know, who does that these days? So I actually had seen a video by Sissy Bass, and she'd been bought one of these as a gift and she loved it, and I loved the sound of it. I thought it looked beautiful, and it was under £190 off Amazon next day delivery, so I just ordered it the next morning. And when it arrived, I got this 2 years ago yesterday, this arrived, and Oh my gosh, do I love this bass. What I love is that if a song comes on the radio that I like, or I just want to pick my bass up and have a bit of a practice, I can do it and I can actually hear what I'm doing. And I love that. But actually, when it's plugged in, the sound, because it's an electroacoustic, the sound is immense. It's so powerful. It really does punch. It's just amazing. But actually being able to just play it, I mean, look at the wood. The wood is just beautiful. So I really love this, and it's been handy because Ricky and I have played at quite a few open mic nights and they don't have fold-back monitors, so you can't hear what you're doing if you take a conventional electric bass, and so it's really good just being able to hear what you're doing, and it sounds gorgeous. It's lovely. And when I got this, I played no other bass for 9 solid months. Every band practice I took this. Every time I practiced at home was with this. It sounds so beautiful and it's so different from my other basses, and I regret nothing. My only regret is that I didn't buy one of these years ago because it's lush. It's so lush. And I've had actually people making snippy comments to me at the open mic place about, oh, what's the point of an acoustic bass? I don't get it. And I don't understand that logic. I don't get it. I love it. I really love it. So I can't imagine ever being without my acoustic bass now. So thank you, Ibanez, for making such a beautiful bass. The only thing is one of the tuning pegs is a bit sticky, which is annoying, which I should be able to order a new one and fix that. But yeah, definitely ready for restringing. I have no idea how to restring an acoustic bass, so I might have to get some help with that. But yeah, love that one. So summer 2023, I kind of had this itch to buy another new bass. The acoustic bass was great, but I wanted another electric bass, and I love my Jackson, I really do, but I was just feeling like I wanted something that looked a little bit more sleek, a bit more modern. And I have to say I'm kind of really about how a bass looks as well as how it sounds. But I was absolutely determined that this time I was not just going to buy something off the internet without trying it first, which is how I bought the other 3. I had 3 basses, I didn't need another just for the sake of having it, so I wanted it to give me something that I didn't have. So I actually did go to PMT. I tried one in the shop. They only had the black, and I was so tempted to buy it there and then, but I was also determined not to get another black one. I wanted something different. So this is the Ibanez Sound Gear SR370E. One of the reasons that I really wanted to try this bass again is because of Sissy Bass, because I've seen her playing her red one of these. It's not this particular model, but she really raves about how good the sound gears are and how many gigs she's done with it. And again, got this home, sounds amazing. And the paint job, I mean, the paint job is so mermaid and so beautiful. Those are like my favourite colours. The back is really nice as well. The looks of it, absolutely gorgeous. I wasn't going to buy a bass just on looks though. I wanted it to feel nice, and I sat down to play the one in the shop and it was like, oh my goodness, it is a dream to play. The neck is so narrow, and I've got really small hands, fat fingers but short fingers. This suits my hand so perfectly. The back of the neck is just beautiful. It's so soft. I can't stop just doing this. Like nearly a year on, I just can't stop touching it. It just is so nice to play. It's really nice to play. And since I got this, I have used my acoustic a couple of times because I have spine problems. Sometimes I struggle to carry my bass to the car, so I'll use the acoustic on a day where I'm struggling when I go to band practice, so I don't have to lift anything heavy. But when I can manage this bass, this is the one I've used. I haven't used my Jackson plugged in at all since I bought this, so I'm feeling a bit guilty about that. But like even the headstock's got that kind of pattern, the graduated wood grain pattern. It's just gorgeous. It is actually, in terms of weight, the same as the Jackson, but it kind of feels better balanced somehow. It's just got the 2 pickups, so you've got a volume on this one. It's kind of handy to have a volume knob, so that when Ricky turns himself up, I've got somewhere to go. In joke. But yeah, it's got the EQ band on there as well, and it's got a rocker switch there as well, which has 4 positions. So I expected to take years to find exactly the sound I like out of this bass, but actually I found it fairly quickly, and that tends to be what I stick with now. And it's just, it's gorgeous. It's so, so gorgeous. Everything about it, the quality of the build, everything about it is superior to the other 3 basses. Like, the extra money, you can feel where the extra money has gone. It's just really nice. Sound wise, it is gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. If you hadn't guessed, I really like this bass, and actually everyone who's heard me playing it thinks that it sounds good as well, so I'm so happy with it. Really, really happy with it. So I don't need any more basses. Does that mean I won't buy any more? No, probably not. You always need more guitars, but quite honestly, it'd have to be something pretty unique that would make me want another bass. Like, I was toying with getting a 5-string. Terrible idea with hands this small, but you know, if I was going to get another bass, it would have to be something dramatically different like that. With these 4, I've got everything that I could ever really need. So the Jackson, this and the acoustic are all giggable. I've done gigs with all 3. No, I haven't done gigs with this one yet, but it definitely will be good to gig with. It's just really nice, and I just think this has that more streamlined, rounded, modern, kind of slimmer body. I don't know, it just feels more modern. It just feels a bit trendier, and I don't know, I'm quite short as well, so I think having a smaller bass suits me, and yeah, I really, really like it. So that's it for my bass collection. In terms of amps, I've got a small Marshall bass amp, which I've had for years, under this desk here, and I've got an old Trace Elliot amp as well. Band practice, I never use the amps, because who wants to carry heavy amps everywhere? I just can't. I literally can't. So for gigs, I use the Trace Elliot. The sound is incredible. I mean, it's a beast of an amp. It's actually in storage at the moment, so I can't show it to you, but it's an absolute beast, and no matter what you plug into that amp, it sounds epic. So it's a great amp to have. It's on wheels, thankfully, but it does weigh a ton, so if I'm using it, I need help to get in and out of the car. I couldn't cope with it if it wasn't on those wheels. So I get the sounds that I want from that. In terms of pedals, very minimal. I think that when I'm playing the Jackson, it really benefits from the compression pedal that I've got. I've got a really tiny little miniature compressor pedal that my husband bought me, and that's kind of all I use. I have used it with this bass, but wasn't in love with it, but I need to just experiment more, because I think compression pedal is really good live, because it just kind of levels everything out a bit, and I think it would benefit from that. But one of the things that I really notice about this bass is the high notes punch through without the compression pedal, whereas on the Jackson it kind of needed the help for that. So this doesn't need the compression as much, but I haven't gigged with this yet, so I don't have the benefit of experience on that one. So I do need to take the compression pedal out again and just play with it on this bass and see if I can get a sound that I quite like. So yeah, that I'm kind of really minimal when it comes to that side of things. I have an amp if I need it. I have my Focusrite USB interface, so mostly when I'm practice plugged in, it's through headphones. So I really don't do a lot of practicing with the amp, but for gigs I do. And we use obviously DI boxes and PA and stuff like that. So we haven't done many gigs lately, but hopefully that will change over the summer. So that's my bass collection. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.